Hello, Louisa Jewell here, and I'm so pleased to have Dana Hurst here from BGIS. She's the Director of Wellness. So, welcome, Dana.
Thank you so much for having me. Pleasure to be speaking with you today.
I'm so glad you're here. BGIS is one of our winners of the Canadian Workplace Wellbeing Awards for 2025. So, congratulations, Dana, as head of wellness. I mean, this must be a wonderful achievement for you.
Yes, thank you so much. It's always lovely, to be recognized, especially from such a prestigious organization. It really just helps us, reinforce that what we're doing is on the right path. It helps us to continue what we're doing and really be that caring organization for our team members. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Dana, and thanks for being here today. And really, what we like to do in these interviews is learn more from you. So, if we can take some of the advice or some of the strategies that you're using and being at the top of your game in terms of well being in the workplace, we certainly are so pleased and so grateful that you're here today to share some of those strategies with us. So, why don't we get started? Can you tell us a little bit more about what are the trends that you're seeing in the workplace in terms of workplace well-being?
Yeah, I think as I see it, one of the things I would highlight is probably that we're seeing a shift from that reactive support that might have been more typical in the past to more of a proactive, integrated care approach. I think a lot of organizations are looking at well being and mental health as more of a holistic strategy within their overall business strategy. Mental health doesn't really seem to be a standalone initiative anymore. It's tends to be a broader, holistic well-being strategy that includes all of those elements, the physical, the financial, the social health on top of that mental health or mental well-being. And I think those leading organizations are really embedding well-being into their organizational culture, into their leadership development, into their policies. They're really recognizing that it's a direct link to productivity, to retention, to resilience. Expect that the support that they're receiving, especially when it comes to mental health in the workplace, that it goes beyond those like one-off sessions. I think they're looking for more of a continuous care, that integrated, especially now with the types of technology, looking at tech-enabled solutions that can provide that ongoing, that personalized support throughout their entire sort of team member journey. And so I think, things like digital platforms, teletherapy, leaders doing proactive check-ins rather than typically relying on team members just reaching out to EAP when they need it. I think
Yeah.
additionally, one of the things I would also mention is that I think as we move forward, more and more organizations are increasingly using data to measure the impact of mental health and well-being initiatives and to really justify their investment. But also those predictive analytics and the outcome tracking, I think it's going to become more standardized and it's going to really demonstrate the value. It's also going to help improve engagement among team members too. So I think that's what I would say, that proactive move, that more tech enabled, that personalized, that's deeply embedded in organizational culture.
Yeah. So, you said so much there. That's so like you've captured so many things. And what we're finding, even with the winners over time, because we've been doing this for 5 years now. And what we found is at the beginning, the applications that were coming in were much more reactive, but they had a lot of programs for that reactivity to be able to be ready for when people needed these mental health services. And we have, over the past 5 years, seen a great shift with our winners into what you call this proactive approach. And, that is a positive psychology approach is, can we get ahead of this? What are the things we can do to prevent things like mental illness? And as you mentioned as well, these things need to be embedded in leadership, in policies. It's not enough to say, let's just create any environment, whether it's good for our employees or not, and then just give them a yoga class, every week. Like that just really doesn't work anymore.
Really want all that integrated approach
So it's much more
on
strategic
all
now.
the applications. That's excellent.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what we're seeing. And so, how do you do that, Dana? I'm just curious. How have you made it more integrated into what it's almost like you're operationalizing this within culture at your organization. How do you do that as director of wellness?
Yeah, so I think that one of the key things for us is our leadership buy-in. We've had a really supportive leadership. And I think that, from the beginning, it was working on building those relationships and really making them understand what well-being in the workplace is, what it can do for our organization, and how it can have an impact. So we actually show a wellness scorecard to our leadership on a quarterly basis that has sort of our leading and lagging indicators so that they're well aware of the risks within our organization, but also the supportive initiatives that are helping us improve maybe some of those risk areas. So I think that's a really key piece, is really ensuring that right from the get-go that leadership is supportive, and that is something that I'm so thankful for here. We have such an amazing leadership that backs what we do and walks the talk too.
Yeah. And that's so true. And we hear that time and time again that there has to be buy in from leaders at the top. I think really important thing that you said is you're very data driven as well. So when you, as the director of wellness, can then take that data and give it to leaders, leaders are more bought in because there's no kind of questioning the numbers at that point. And, a lot of business leaders, they do care about the numbers. So, I think that's really good that not only are they bought in, but you continue to have them feel trust in the programs that you're doing because they actually get the data that supports this idea of, well-being can also improve the business over time.
Exactly. We have a lot of engineers, as you can imagine, here at BGIS.
Yeah.
And so they love numbers, they love spreadsheets, they love the data. And so I think that that's been super helpful for our leadership. It makes it a little bit more visible for them. They may not have had that line of sight to some of those risk areas without actually sharing and showing that. So I think, yeah, it's been certainly impactful for us to do that. And it's something we will continue to do. And we continue to sort of shape what that scorecard looks like and try and enhance it year over year to provide more valuable information.
So, what would you say is the most impactful wellness initiative that you've implemented at BGIS?
Yeah, I think for us, it's probably actually our Bell Let's Talk Day initiatives. And I think that these events, and we've been doing them for 5 years now, has really helped our organization to continually create that positive change for our team members that are living with mental health issues, but also for those that maybe aren't, but it brings to light for those individuals as well. And I think that it brings the much needed attention to the importance of mental health, but it also helps our organization shatter the stigmas that are associated with mental illness. Those events have encouraged so many of our team members to seek help. Like we've actually received back from team members saying, hey, following that session, it's actually caused me to reach out. Like it's what pushed me, motivated me, what gave me the courage, whatever reason it may be. But I think the reason why these are so impactful is because we've provided a platform for open and honest conversations, and we've included our leadership. So we've each year had different leaders or senior leaders, even members of our executive team. We've even had our global CEO where they come on and they share their personal mental health struggles. And personally, whether it be, their experience with a very close family member. And I think what that does is really create that emotional connection. And it gives our team members relief to hear it coming from our own leadership. It really just humanizes them, right? It makes us all on that level playing field that, no one is immune. And it's really shown to our team members that it's okay to raise your hand and say, I need some help. I need some support. And so we've used storytelling in these events. And I think it's that storytelling piece because it's such a powerful tool, storytelling. I mean, it allows the listener to really learn and discover about connections to their own lives, but it also brings about that change. It encourages those who may be experiencing a similar story to reach out and seek support. So I just think that that's probably our most impactful initiative that we do. And because it's at the beginning of the year each year, it sets the stage, right? It sets the tone, brings mental health to the forefront of the conversation right at the beginning of the year, and then sets that foundation for us to continue to grow as it relates to focusing on mental health and mental illness within our organization for the remainder of the year.
I think when you not only share stories, but when you have top leaders that are sharing these stories, people are able to say, oh, it's okay. Like, look, it happened to the CEO or it happened to the director or, whatever the case may be. Especially when you're working with a lot of engineers who are very logical and very, so I don't want to stereotype anybody, but these kind of soft topics can be very difficult to bring up. And then when you can see these leaders, it gives you that kind of permission. It breaks down the stigma in the organization. And that's an easy thing you can do, right? It's just have these higher level leaders share a personal story. That kind of vulnerability, I think, really resounds with people. I think that's great. I'm so glad that you're doing that. And again, so many of our winners have stated that as one of the strategies that to remove stigma. So, Dana, I'm curious, what do you do as the director of wellness to keep yourself in a state of well being?
Yes, I think it's so important for us that are in roles like I am, that for us to be able to authentically champion wellness for others, we need to make it a priority to walk the talk ourselves. And so we need to practice what we advocate. And so for me, proper rest is a huge, huge part, making sure that I have enough sleep to recharge my batteries to deal with all that life's throwing at me, whether that being in the workplace or whether that being in my home life as well. I really like to attend hot yoga. I find hot yoga for me is such a great way to maintain my well being, not only physically, but mentally as well. And if you've participated, and you probably know what I'm talking about. Daily walks, I mean, getting out in fresh air, being able to clear your head. We often try to do walking meetings where we can share at BGIS, which is great. So I do have a standing walking meeting that's like a leadership update each week. And that's a fantastic opportunity to sort of do both at once. I'm really active. I love playing volleyball. It's one of my priorities for me each week. And then when we get into, the spring, summer, fall time of the year, mountain biking is something that we do as a family. Those pieces from an activity and rest standpoint, but also for me, really important is setting boundaries, not only setting those boundaries, but respecting those healthy boundaries that I've set, because that really protects my time. It also protects my energy. And it's extremely important as I have twin boys. They're 11 years old and they are super, super active, a lot of rep sports. And so ensuring that I have boundaries to be able to deal with my work life and my home life is really important to me. And I think prioritizing our mental health, I'm a huge advocate of therapy. I engage in regular therapy sessions, even when things are going great, because it helps me process change, challenges, and really maintain that balance. And when we start slipping, it also is that reminder of what we can do. So I think all of those sort of habits that I just mentioned, they really help me stay grounded, resilient, and be able to be fully present for those that I support, both in the workplace and outside of the workplace.
Yeah, I mean, you just described a whole bunch of things. Like you really have taken a holistic approach to your own well-being from, it starts with setting boundaries, right? So that then you can appreciate your sons more, and spend time with them. And it sounds like you do activities of moving your body with your family, but also things for yourself. I did when I was going through a really hard time a number of years ago. I went to hot yoga every single day for 2 years. It was my hour to just be with myself and to meditate. And something about the heat that it feels like you're just releasing everything from your day. And I've recently moved downtown and I didn't have a hot yoga studio nearby that I could go to. My hot yoga studio closed during the pandemic, but now they've just opened two in the area. Well, one's not open quite yet, but my daughter signed me up and now I'm going again, regularly, not quite every day yet, but hoping to go several times. And you're right, there's something about just turning off. So even if people were to go outside, like leave your phone in your home and go for a walk, so that you're not tempted to scroll TikTok or something, as you're outside. I think there's this benefit, isn't there, of just kind of turning off. And I'm just not going to be tuned into work or anything.
Turning off, and I think too, becoming part of a community, right? I know with the hot yoga, especially, you've really become a part of that community and they're very community minded. And I think it's really, again, about that connection piece too, right?
I just want to ask you one last question, and that is there anything else that you can share in terms of practical strategies or things that you think it's important? If an organization is thinking, yes, we want to improve well-being, what would you recommend that they do?
I think starting small, because there's a lot of small but impactful things that organizations can do and leaders can do to support their team members' mental health and well-being. And I think, normalizing those conversations around mental health by openly acknowledging that it's okay and openly acknowledging the importance and being able to share those resources. So, you as leaders, knowing what those resources are in your organization that you can share and have at the ready for team members. I think leaders can model healthy behaviors. Like they can take their breaks, they can set boundaries and show that it's okay to disconnect, after hours, that type of thing. Again, something small but very impactful. I think those check ins regularly and with genuine curiosity, scale of 1 to 10, how are you doing? And then it gives the opportunity for the individual to respond back to say, hey, today I'm an 8. That's great. Okay, we're probably doing pretty good. But if someone responds back and says, oh, I'm a 4, it just opens the door for further conversation. So maybe asking those questions about check in or how you're doing a little differently. I think also celebrating the small things, birthdays, anniversaries, show that you are a caring organization by remembering some of those milestones that don't have to come with a huge price tag. I think probably one of the biggest things is providing flexibility where possible. I can speak from my personal experience that flexibility is a really big thing. It's super impactful. It really helps reduce stress for a lot of individuals that are balancing and juggling a lot of different things. So I think that those are some small things, but very impactful things that leaders and organizations can do. The actions don't necessarily have to require big budgets,
Yes.
but they do require things like empathy and consistency. So I think it's those types of things that I would suggest if you're starting out, or even if you're not starting out, that you continue to make sure that you have in place.
Yeah. And that's great because, a lot of people think, oh, I need a strategy and I need to hire a consultant. And really, it's just start implementing small things. I love that advice and that guidance. Thank you, Dana. Thank you so much for being with us today. And thank you again for everything you're doing to improve well being at BGIS. And congratulations again for winning the Canadian Workplace Wellbeing Awards. We're super excited for you.
Thank you so much. And it was a pleasure speaking with you today. And yes, thank you. It's these types of things that continue to give us that motivation to keep doing what we're doing. So appreciate it.